to pull over. I'm at a gas station here. I'm not driving. I'm out of the road, so we're good. I got a little bit of inspiration. Somebody asked me the other day what the hardest lesson I ever had to learn was. What was the hardest thing in life for me to really grasp, conceptually speaking, and then not only grasp and to understand, but then to apply to my life. That's what lessons are. They're information that we grasp and then we apply. They want to know what the hardest thing I ever had to learn was. It didn't take me very long to think about it, because the answer has always been kind of in the back of my head. The hardest thing I've ever had to learn for myself, the hardest lesson I had to learn, was that sometimes it's okay to be selfish. Every now and then, you have to do stuff for yourself. That's what selfish means. Now, if you look it up in the dictionary, or if you look it up online, or wherever you pull up the word selfish, it's often accompanied with something else. It'll usually say, doing something for yourself. But then there's usually a second part that says, at the expense of other people. And this is the part I kind of disagree with, because it's a very old, kind of childish definition of the word selfish. We were taught when we were kids that being selfish means we want something other people don't have. If you wanted 4 cookies for dessert instead of 3, you were being selfish. If you wouldn't let your brother share your toys, you were being selfish. And we were taught early on that the word selfish has a very negative connotation to it. That it's wrong to be selfish, and that it's right to give. So from a very early age, we're kind of conditioned to this giver mindset, and that it's wrong to take. So it makes it hard sometimes as we grow up and we get older, and especially if you're anything like me. I was born a giver. From the day I was born, up till now, I'm the kind of guy that gives. I see people who need, and I give, and I give out of love. I give out of my heart. But I had a hard time with this for a long time, because first off, sometimes you're going to give to people who are going to take. And sometimes these people, the more you give, the more they take. We all know, we all have people in those, in our lives in those situations. We know them. We've identified them, hopefully, at this point as people who are just going to take. The problem is, because of the law of attraction, we attract a certain thing to ourselves. What you put out is what you give. And when you put out that you are a giver, now here's a catch. If you're not setting boundaries, you're going to attract takers. Now, if you're setting boundaries and you're being very clear and very honest and very forward with people, then you can be a giver and not have takers come into your life, because you're able to kind of weed them out, and it's easy to figure out who's there for the right reasons and who's there for the wrong reasons. Govern yourself accordingly with your friends. Manage your relationships to that level. Now, the other thing that happens is that we attract other givers, and we have hard relationships because neither of us are takers. So we're a giver and they're a giver, and it creates a very weird dynamic sometimes with the people in our lives. Where I was going with this is the art of being selfish. I call it an art form. The art. Selfishness is an art because it's a very delicate balancing act. You have to take care of yourself. Not only that, but before you can really apply yourself to other people, before you can help empower other people, before you can make a big enough difference with other people, you have to be strong enough to have a difference and make a difference for yourself. This is really the basis of my single soul revolution concept. You can't change the world until you change yourself. Now, a lot of us, like I said, we're born into a system of giving, and we're taught by our churches and our parents that being selfish is wrong. Well, I look at selfish, instead of saying doing for yourself at other people's expenses or putting yourself first, I look at being selfish as a simple 2-word definition. Selfish means of self, of yourself. So anytime you do something for yourself, you are technically being selfish. Whether it's with or without the putting other people, behind yourself. Now, the reality is, if you have a gallon of water, you can fill up 16 cups. That gallon jug may only hold 8 ounces in the bottom, though, so you can only fill up 1 cup. You're a gallon of water. You're a gallon of wisdom. You're a gallon of love. You're a gallon of whatever. Hear me out on the example here. If you aren't full, you can't go filling up other people. If you aren't complete, if you aren't filled to the top, you can't fill anybody else up either. Now, you might be able to take care of one, and that's what I spent a lot of my time doing before I figured this out. I would take one-on-one interactions. I would get with one person, and I would say, okay, I see your problems, I see your issues, I have clarity, we've talked, we've had conversations, I've gotten really honest and really raw with you, now let's see how I can help you. and I would pour out of my gallon, and then I would be empty and they would be full. I did this a lot in my early relationships, my early romantic relationships. I found people who needed some love and needed some guidance, and I played that role for them, and essentially sacrificed myself and my happiness for them and their happiness, and then they no longer needed me anymore because they had found what they were looking for, and they were gone. And then I was left picking up the pieces, wondering why it didn't work. Well, why it didn't work is because I wasn't okay with myself. Why it didn't work is because I was not in the right state of mind. I was giving, expecting something back. Now, if you give to expect something back, you're already losing, and you're already doing it for the wrong reasons. Because that's not love. That's an arrangement. That's purchasing. You're trading something. If you give love, or give time, or give energy because you expect something back from that person, you're bartering. You're not loving. To love means to love. There's no expectation of return here. So that's where part of it starts. But you have to give that to yourself too. You have to love yourself, and you have to figure it out how. You have to forgive. You have to go through all these steps and do the things that you need to do to be okay with yourself. You have to take time for yourself. It's okay to tell people no. It's okay to set boundaries. It's okay to stand up for yourself in situations where you feel like you're not being represented. This is your life. And in order for you to be the best you can be, you're going to have to take some maintenance on your life. You're going to have to look at yourself. You're going to have to check yourself in the mirror and make sure you're where you're supposed to be, that you're headed the right direction, that you're mentally, emotionally, and physically okay. You have to stop and take the time to do these things. You have to stop and make it a priority to check in with yourself. Meditate, pray, do whatever you need to do. Go hit the gym. Get okay with yourself, mind, body, and soul. Because until you're fine with you, you can't be anything for anybody else. Being selfish is an art form. Don't let it get to your head. Don't let it get, controlled by your ego. Let it get controlled by life and by the universe. Take what you need so that you can give what you need. It's that simple. Take what you need before you give what you need. Guys, make it happen. I love you all. Thank you so much for checking me out. Stay tuned. Got some awesome stuff coming. Thank you for subscribing. Stay blessed, everybody. Love you.